Are you terrified by the thought of starting a new campaign? Here are 6 of my top tips to get one going, and we're starting right now. If this is your first visit and you want tips and tricks to make your role-playing games a little bit more awesome, start now by subscribing and hitting the bell so you can stay in the know. I find myself in the same boat as many of you. I'm starting a new campaign, and I'm filled with the same questions I imagine many of you might have. How can I hook my players? Can we recapture the magic from previous campaigns? Will my ideas fall flat, or can we catch lightning in the bottle again? Today, we are going to discuss some of my favorite tips for starting a new campaign, and there's a real good bonus one at the end that you don't want to miss. Got any tips from me and other DMs starting new campaigns? We would love to read them in the comments below, but now, it's countdown time. Number 6. Start with a pitch, preferably something simple, maybe an email or a Google Doc or something like that. The goal of the pitch is to establish the setting in as much as we can, to gauge interest on the ideas we think are cool, to try to set the tone for the thing in its most malleable state, and to help set reasonable expectations for what the thing might be. We should rate our potential campaigns on the things we care about the most, and try to keep the list to fewer than 6 if you can. Mine are politics, role-playing, tactics because that's how my game is, tone with darkness and drama on one side and lightheartedness and comedy on the other, and epicness, which we will pretend is a word. How players respond to these pitches helps us understand what our players care about. This is especially important if our players are new to RPGs and don't have well-formed expectations. And if it isn't a foregone conclusion, we might also talk about which systems we might use, in case they want to buy dice or rulebooks or something. And if none of our pitches stick, let's talk to our players and try to find something that will. This is our first chance to get on the same page. Number 5. Consume a lot of media. By this time, hopefully we've already done this. Read books, watch movies, read comics, watch online RPG play. Whatever media it is that you consume, do that and do it a lot. Let all that stuff percolate up here in the coconut. Then let's grab some of our favorite bits, modify them, and make them our own. Some players may pick up on these influences. Some of them may even appreciate them. We might also share those influences with them openly, so we're starting from the same point. Getting folks excited about the source material can sometimes get them going in directions they didn't even know were awesome. Let's give their subconscious something to chew on. Okay, I got it. It's like Cowboy Bebop with ska, crossed with the A-Team with mecha. Steve Jobs made famous the potentially misattributed quote, "Good artists copy, but great artists steal." Sir Isaac Newton is going in a very similar direction in his famous quote, "If I have seen further, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants." These two ideas apply to what we do too. The best ideas are still great. Let's figure out what makes them so, then bend them to our will and make them our own. Number 4. Let's do some idea gardening. And what the heck do I mean by that? When the campaign is new, both us and our players are still trying to figure out what's what. We may not know on either side of the screen what's thriller and what's filler. This applies to hooks, themes, NPCs, the player characters, everything. My advice, let's talk to our players. You've heard that here before. Let's again ask them what things they want to explore once we've been going a little while and things are a little bit more concrete. Then we can make some educated guesses based on the responses and what we think will be fun. Let's try that stuff out and see what things the players engage with. They will show us what they think is cool. We don't have to guess. From there, we want to downplay the stuff that doesn't stick and upplay the stuff that does. When the campaign is still new, it's far easier to change directions because we don't have all this weight of prior play precedent, and that means it's easier to change. Number 3. Let's figure out who the player characters are. In the opening sessions of the game, we have the least amount of information about them. We will get hints from their backstories if they wrote them, and bonus points if they know and have shared what their characters' beliefs are. In my case, I asked them to think through this stuff during character creation, because in that way they can telegraph to me what they want the campaign to be about. We can even put mechanics around these if we want to make it even clearer. We'll see later in the countdown why understanding the player characters is vitally important. That all sounds great, but how the heck do we do that? Every time we build an encounter, either social or combat, let's challenge their perceived beliefs. This is where we bust out the moral dilemmas and the really challenging NPCs. Let's take lots of notes on how they reacted in play, because sometimes what they say and what they do are different. It's crazy, I know. Once we have a good idea of who the player characters are, we can fine-tune our campaigns for great awesome. Number 2. Start the first session with a bang. Let's frame our opening scenes like they owe us money. We are just starting this thing out, and we don't know if it's going to be awesome yet. Hankering over at Runehammer says we need danger, energy, and wonder in our campaigns, and we want all 3 of those in the first session. If we've got our central tensions figured out, we want to telegraph those suckers as hard as we can so we can see if they'll stick. Flash back to number 4 if you have to. I'll wait. We want to set up for long-term success by pushing our big ideas early, and that means starting from session 1, or session 0, but that's a different video. We want to end each of our sessions with the players wanting more, doubly so in the early sessions since these set the tone and direction for a bunch of what's going to happen later. Let's keep dangling the hooks in front of them so they'll keep wondering how it'll all play out. By starting with a bang, we can grab our players' imaginations, and all of us are more creative than one of us. Number 1. We should build our campaigns from the inside out, as we discussed in this video. Blam! Now that we know who the player characters are, particularly their beliefs, we're prepared to wrap the entire campaign around them. We want to build our hooks from those beliefs wherever we can, and I'm not above wrenching ideas out of the player characters' backstories if I have to. Let's pull in as many of the other player characters' beliefs into each thread as we can, looking for commonalities and making associations wherever possible. 2 PCs that care about the same thing is about as close to an irresistible force as we will ever get as GMs and DMs, so don't be afraid to use that. Now, when we go to build our interesting NPCs, let's do so with clear direction, given the player character's beliefs. Let's mark them as toward or against. Let's show the player characters different opinions. Let's show them where they might be wrong. Let's challenge one or more of those beliefs in some way with every NPC if we can swing it. We want to reinforce these ideas wherever we can to ramp up the drama, because if we can make our campaign's themes personal, we can start them on solid footing. Bonus round. Fight! When a campaign starts out, it is small and fragile, even if you have good buy-in from your players, even if you started with a bang. Let's keep listening to our players as they discuss our game and weave their good ideas into it. Let's keep making associations wherever we can and building up the drama layer after layer like a parfait, or an ogre. Let's keep our eyes open for ideas we'd like to reinforce and work those things into future sessions wherever we can. We should also try with all of our might not to hold on too tightly to decisions we made in the earliest stages of prep. We did that work when we had the least amount of information, so that the least true to what's been demonstrated is interesting and engaging. Let's keep following these tips for the rest of the campaign, and when the drama gets too big and scary, or when we run out of space to explore, let's end the campaign gracefully and successfully on a high note. But ending a campaign is a different video. I sincerely hope that you found something useful in here for your next or current campaign. For more tips and tricks like these to make your role-playing games a little bit more awesome, start now by subscribing and hitting the bell so you can stay in the know. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on Sunday.